78%. That's how much of one California small city's entire budget came from a single casino, police, fire department, parks, roads, every service dependent on one card room staying open, staying profitable. But now, after $20 billion in casino losses, that revenue isn't just shrinking, it's vanishing. Cities are collapsing. Public services are being gutted. And now, casinos are closing faster than anyone predicted. I'm Richard Lawson, and you are watching Richard Lawson Investigates. If you want to understand the economic disasters unfolding across California, disasters that will actually affect your wallet and your community, hit that subscribe button, smash that like, share this with someone who needs to know what's really happening, and drop a comment below because this story affects more people than you realize. Here's where this gets absolutely insane. While the state government plays politics, cities are preparing for potential bankruptcy. While tens of thousands of jobs hang in the balance, entire city budgets are evaporating, and officials are using words like fatal and devastating. And yet, California's casino industry continues to post historic numbers in some sectors, which begs the question, if overall gaming revenue is still high, why are small cities collapsing? Let me show you what's really happening. California's gambling industry just posted its strongest performance in history. Tribal casinos brought in $12.1 billion in gross gaming revenue in a single fiscal year, the highest of any state in America, higher than Nevada, higher than the entire Las Vegas Strip. California State Lottery shattered records too, pulling in $9.27 billion and sending billions to public education. Trust funds designed to redistribute gaming revenue are overflowing so badly that auditors called the balances excessive. Payments were literally paused because there was too much money sitting unused. So ask yourself this: if money is flooding in, why are cities preparing for bankruptcy? Because the money didn't disappear, it moved, and the cities that depend on card rooms are watching it flow away from them in real time. Take Hawaiian Gardens, a small city with a big secret. 78% of its general fund comes from one casino. That's over $12 million a year supporting the basic existence of local government. Commerce relies on its card room for roughly half of its budget. Bell Gardens, Gardena, San Jose, all built financial systems around card room revenue that flows directly into city coffers. That's the key difference. Most people never learn. Card rooms are privately owned businesses. They pay local taxes directly to the cities they operate in. Tribal casinos do not. Their payments go through compacts, trust funds, and regulatory channels that rarely benefit city budgets in a meaningful way. So when card rooms suffer, cities bleed immediately. And right now they're facing proposed regulations that could erase hundreds of millions of dollars every single year from card room revenue. The state's own impact assessment admits it openly. Nearly $500 million annually could be stripped from card rooms, money that would largely reappear as gains elsewhere. For the state government, this barely registers. Gaming revenue makes up less than 0.1% of California's general fund. It's statistical noise in Sacramento, but for cities built around card rooms, it's an extinction-level threat. Mayors are using words they never use lightly: fatal, devastating, bankrupt. These are not activists or commentators talking. These are the people responsible for keeping cities alive, warning that without card room revenue, there is no backup plan, no replacement tax, no emergency fund large enough to absorb the shock. When 78% of your budget comes from one casino, you don't have flexibility, you have hope. And hope is not a financial strategy. That's the number nobody wants to confront. Not because it's exaggerated, but because it's real. And once you understand what that number represents, you start to see why this crisis isn't about gambling at all. It's about which cities survive and which ones are quietly written off. California didn't accidentally put its cities in this position. This wasn't a natural market failure or unforeseen economic shock. It was built slowly, deliberately, and with full awareness of the risks through a system that rewarded the state while pushing the danger downward onto local governments that had no real power to fight back. Here is the uncomfortable truth. California allowed cities to become dependent on card rooms because it was convenient. Card rooms filled budget gaps without requiring the state to raise taxes, restructure funding formulas, or take political heat. As long as the money kept flowing, nobody in Sacramento asked hard questions about sustainability. But card rooms were never treated as essential infrastructure. They were treated as expendable. Unlike tribal casinos, card rooms are fully exposed to regulatory shifts. They don't operate under sovereign protection. They don't have compacts negotiated at the highest political levels. They survive or die based on rules written by agencies that feel zero fiscal consequences if those businesses collapse. And now those rules are changing. The Bureau of Gambling Control's proposed regulations would fundamentally alter how card rooms operate. Games that have existed legally for decades would suddenly become economically unviable. Dealer rotation requirements would disrupt table flow. Game structures would be redesigned in ways that slash profitability without technically banning operations outright. This is how industries are killed without admitting it. The state commissioned an official regulatory impact assessment to evaluate the damage. Not a trade group study, not a lobbying memo, a government-approved analysis conducted by Berkeley Economic Advising and Research. The conclusions were brutal. Annual revenue losses for card rooms were projected between $396 million and $464 million. At the same time, tribal casinos were expected to gain $198 million to $232 million annually from displaced customers. The net result? A massive economic contraction concentrated almost entirely on cities that rely on card room taxes. Thousands of jobs eliminated, not hypotheticals, real positions with real families behind them, dealers, security staff, maintenance workers, hospitality employees, city workers whose salaries are funded indirectly by casino taxes. For cities like Hawaiian Gardens, Commerce, and Bell Gardens, these losses aren't something you adjust to. They blow holes straight through general funds. When half or more of your operating budget disappears, you don't trim around the edges. You shut down services, police patrols get cut, fire response times increase. Infrastructure repairs are postponed indefinitely. Entire departments are laid off. And here's the most revealing part of the story. The state does not suffer alongside them. Gaming contributes less than 0.1% to California's general fund. Personal income tax, sales tax, and corporate tax pay the bills in Sacramento. When card rooms bleed, the state shrugs. The losses don't threaten statewide programs or political priorities. So the pain is localized, intensely. Precisely, cities are left alone to absorb damage caused by decisions they did not make and cannot reverse. This imbalance is not accidental, it is structural. California centralized authority over gaming regulations while decentralizing the financial risk. Cities were encouraged to depend on card room revenue, but given no protection when that revenue came under attack. During the pandemic, officials got a preview of what this looks like. When card rooms were forced to close, revenues vanished almost overnight. Hawaiian Gardens lost millions in weeks. Bell Gardens in San Jose saw massive shortfalls. Layoffs followed immediately. Essential services were slashed just to survive. That crisis was temporary. What's coming now is permanent. Regulations don't reopen. Revenue doesn't rebound. Jobs don't come back. This is not enforcement. It's not reform. It's not consumer protection. It is a calculated reshaping of California's gaming economy that transfers power upward while leaving small cities exposed. ND defenseless. California didn't just break its own cities. It built a system where their collapse was an acceptable cost. This is the part of the story where everything comes together and where the consequences stop being abstract numbers on a spreadsheet and start becoming real, irreversible damage. Because when analysts talk about $20 billion in losses, they are not talking about a single bad year. They are talking about a slow-motion collapse spread across a decade. Closures, layoffs, cities hollowed out piece by piece until what remains is technically a municipality, but functionally a shell. The warning signs are already here. In January 2026, California's sweepstakes casino ban went into full effect. More than 30 online platforms vanished overnight, taking thousands of jobs and millions in economic activity with them. No transition period, no safety net, just gone. That alone erased a significant slice of California's broader gaming ecosystem, and it was only the opening move. Next came the lawsuits. Nearly 100 card rooms sued simultaneously, accused of operating games that tribes claim exclusive rights to. For months, card rooms were fighting on two fronts, the courts and the regulators, legal bills piling up, investor confidence collapsing, expansion plans frozen. A judge dismissed the lawsuit in October 2025, ruling that federal law superseded the claims. Card rooms briefly celebrated. But that relief was short-lived. Appeals were announced immediately, and more importantly, the regulations never stopped moving forward. That's the part most people misunderstand. Even if card rooms win every court case, the regulatory damage still lands. By April 2026, the NEW rules can be finalized, and once those rules take effect, the economics change instantly. Games become unprofitable, tables close, floors go dark, jobs vanish, not because a judge ordered it, but because the math no longer works. This is how closures happen without press conferences. One table shuts down, then another, then a shift gets cut, then an entire room closes temporarily, then the doors never reopen. Over time, the losses stack up. Hundreds of millions per year becomes billions. A decade of attrition becomes $20 billion in lost revenue, wages, and local tax income, concentrated almost entirely in communities that can least afford it. And while that damage spreads, something else happens quietly in the background. Tribal casinos expand, new locations open, existing resorts grow larger, market share consolidates, Hard Rock Tahoe opens, Acorn Ridge moves forward, North Fork Mono prepares for launch. This is not coincidence. It is market realignment. Money does not leave California gaming. It flows upward and outward, away from card rooms and the cities that depend on them, toward entities that are insulated from local fiscal collapse. And the state lets it happen because, from their perspective, nothing breaks. California's budget deficit, whether it's $12 billion or $46 billion, does not change based on card room survival. Gaming revenue is less than 0.1% of the general fund. The state can lose every card room tomorrow and still function. Cities cannot. When Hawaiian Gardens loses its casino revenue, it doesn't trim a program, it dismantles a government. When commerce loses tens of millions, it doesn't tighten belts, it cuts muscle and bone. Police departments shrink, fire stations close, infrastructure decays, public trust evaporates, and there is no cavalry coming, no emergency bailout, no replacement tax base, no hidden reserve fund. These cities bet everything on an industry that the state now treats as disposable. This is who pays the price. City workers who never stepped inside a casino, families whose jobs disappear with no warning, communities that did nothing wrong except believe the revenue would always be there. California's casino industry is not dying. It is being restructured. And restructuring always creates winners and losers. The winners are breaking revenue records and opening new doors. The losers are watching their cities fade, quietly, legally, and permanently. That is the true cost of the $20 billion loss. Not money disappearing, but entire communities being sacrificed while no one is looking.